If your colon becomes a semicolon, you're probably gonna need a colostomy bag. School of Beards, Chapter 17, More Tales from the She Cave. Well, that didn't take long. Yeah, I already had enough tales to warrant another chapter of Beard School. The saga that really never ends because the beards will just always keep on bearding, and you can't fire them because they got tenure and whatnot. Today, you're actually going to meet a couple of new beards. Exciting, right? I'm still not going to make a cast list because you know the others, so we'll introduce our new beards within the story. Sorry, Red. More voices? I think we're just going to need to repeat them at this point. If I got really creative, I could probably do it, but you know what? I'm going to do it. I truly am thankful I didn't have to experience most of these firsthand. Do I feel bad sharing my husband's beard trauma with the world in hopes of getting Red some clicks and delivering the people some delicious cringe? No, I do not. Beetle has signed off on this, and I enjoy relaying it from the safety of my cave. No, really, I'm pretty into it too.
I apologize for nothing.
Anyway, enough rambling. In the words of my favorite news anchor, Chris Cuomo, let's get after it. Is that a thing? News anchors have catchphrases now? I don't want to live on this planet anymore. First up is Manny Beard's evacuation. I have so many little things that I don't have a full story for, but that just make me laugh. Like when Beetle texted me one day during the English 1 meeting and said, OMFG, COVID Beard always sounds like she's sick. Irony. Like she's struggling to breathe or something. It's annoying. Imagine having that voice. It's like she's constantly doing that vocal fry thing that sorority girls do at the end of their sentences. No real story there, but still funny as hell. She's experiencing long COVID. I mean, she is a bit of a hypochondriac, but yeah, there might be something there. I feel a little bad making fun of her. Sometimes, however, I get a full story, and this is one of those times. On this day, Beetle was in Manny Beard's class, and I always expect tags during this time, and today was no exception. Beetle, I just don't have the mental capacity for this today. My brain can't fully function on 2 hours of sleep, and this girl just yelled out in class, "Bro, it smells like punani over here." OP, in Manny's class? And if so, did he do anything? Beetle, yeah, in Manny's class. And no, he didn't do anything. He was on the other side of the room talking to a student and seemingly unaware. And there's just a stream of expletives coming from this table. I can't address it all. Once in a while, I say something because WTF, and oh my god, why did Manny Beard just call a semicolon a colon? Because he doesn't know about colostomy bags. Hey, it's a throwback to the intro joke. Thanks so much. OP, because Manny Beard, I guess. Beetle, and I think he has a degree in English. I can't even. OP, how? Beetle, I don't know for sure what his degree is. Maybe I should ask him today. You know, out of curiosity, research. It's just science. Yeah, it's totally a fact too. Go ahead and look it up. Thank you so much for letting me do that. I gotta do that from time to time. It builds up. For the record, somehow, Manny Beard's degree is in English. That's what you get from a pay-to-win system of college, but I digress. That was just the start of the day. I found out later that the text stopped after that because a student started making a scene about another student stealing her charger. Manny Beard ignored the student's voice rising, and Beetle was working with a student and kept looking up at Manny Beard to actually exercise any form of classroom management since it was, you know, his class. Remember, this isn't Beetle's classroom. He's supposed to just be there for support for Manny Beard in there. If by support you mean like cornerstone, it all comes collapsing down if Beetle's not there, I think that's accurate. That's my charger! The student yelled. No, it's not. It's mine from him. The other student yelled back. You just stole my charger, and I want it back now! The student screamed as she lunged at her classmate. Physical violence? Anyone want to intervene? No? Okay. This was around the time that Beetle realized that Manny was, in fact, completely useless and ran over to get between the girls. He couldn't touch either of them, but he could, strategically position himself between them. Bro, call the AP, Beetle called to Manny Beard, who was still acting like nothing was happening. Oh, okay. Manny Beard nodded as he walked over to the classroom phone and dialed the extension for the AP office. Manny Beard told the AP office that he needed them in his room. Okay, they're on their way. Now send a message to Ozzy and let him know what's going on, Beetle said, as the girls continued to yell expletives around him. Ozzy's job is to handle sped student behavior, and this girl was one of his students. Manny Beard nodded and did as Beetle asked. I'm really curious as to how Manny Beard exists if he doesn't actually generate any independent thought. A few minutes later, Ozzy walked in with his partner, and they started trying to talk the student down. The student continued screaming at Ozzy over the charger. She was still at it when two APs and our campus police officer, who is a city cop assigned to our campus, walked in. They realized this situation was already escalated beyond control. What do? Get a trank dart? That's the only way I can see this one going down. Pew! Manny Beard! Beetle, take your class next door. We'll handle the situation in here, AP1 said, and so Manny Beard and Beetle took all the kids, except that one student, next door. Thankfully, there was no class in that classroom at this time. Manny Beard told the students to take a seat, and he continued teaching his lesson like nothing had happened at all. He's all business. I respect that. Beetle doesn't know what happened next door with that student, since he wasn't in there, but he did see Mr. Principal walk in there. Eventually, 2 teachers, 2 APs, 1 campus cop, and the principal escorted that student out of the room. It really does take a village, doesn't it, you guys? Oh boy. The APs told Manny Beard finally that he could take his class back in. Manny Beard finished his lesson and then took his class back to their classroom. Beetle said as they headed back that he could still hear the student all the way downstairs screaming expletives about her charger being stolen. Okay, but was the charger actually stolen? I don't think that was ever established. It's not the way to go about getting it back, okay? But let's at least look at this claim. So yeah, another story of great de-escalation by Manny Beard. Sarcasm. You'd think he'd learn eventually. If this situation unfolds, here's what I do. But like I said, no independent thought. It's amazing. Next up, we're meeting Math Beard. Oh, goody. Mostly I've told stories about the English department beards and Media Beard, but that's because that's where most of our interaction is. That said, other departments are not without their beards, of course. I got a text from Beetle just a few minutes ago saying, oh my god, one of the kids was like, my history teacher just says a lot of innuendos. Oh, is it English Beard? No, it's Mr. History Beard. Although, how sus is it that English Beard was one of that student's first guess? And how sad is it that they don't realize that English Beard, teaches English, not history? Sigh. I'll be honest, I don't expect the students to keep track of the teachers just as much as the teachers don't keep track of the students, right? Fair's fair around here. I wouldn't pay any attention. Honestly, I don't know History Beard, and the history teachers that I do know are awesome. I may have to do some further investigation on this, for complete records, for science. Oh yeah, we love science around here. Anyway, this particular tale is about a non-English legbeard that Beetle does interact with fairly frequently, and I have also on occasion before. We'll call her Math Beard. She's Beetle's math counterpart. That is to say, she's a sped teacher that teaches resource math, and also does some inclusion support in some general education math classes. Everything Beetle does, just make it math-based, and she does the same, just not as well. She's trying. Math is hard. Math Beard's been at this school since it opened 7 years ago. I don't know how. Everyone knows she's a complete idiot. Sped teacher shortage, maybe? She's also worked with Beetle at another school prior to Standard High, so she's really been annoying him for years. It's fate! Looks like a Legbeard. I haven't heard her do so, but I would bet money that this woman has read at least once in her life, unironically, probably without even knowing that she was doing it. Let me give you some ideas of Beetle's run-ins with her. Once again, it starts with a text. I think if I get one more email from Mathbeard, I'm gonna go to my boss with it. It does nothing but stress me out. It is not necessary. He then proceeded to share said email with me. Hi, Beetle. As Jamie's tracking teacher, I'm putting you in the loop that her earbuds look gross because there's earwax on both of them. Quite a bit. Would you make the home contact about this since it's a social skill and hygiene issue? Also, do you have anything for her to clean them with? Go get a napkin. What's wrong with you? Also, sometimes nose hygiene, like picking her nose, is not the best either. I've seen her digging in her nose once I give her the Kleenex. It really does take a village. Bro, I just said that. Thank you, Math Beard. This kid probably has allergies. It's not our job to clean their earbuds. Why is she emailing me about this? Beetle exclaimed. I mean, no one could say she doesn't care. As a matter of fact, maybe she's just the slightest bit invasive. Could go either way, I suppose. And really, this is only the tip of the iceberg. This woman has emailed Beetle about students not putting caps back on markers and drying them out. I'm not kidding. Any little thing that comes up, she emails Beetle. I say more Kevina, right? She just doesn't know where the line is for some reason, despite the fact she's been doing this for a decade. It's gotten to the point that even seeing her name in his inbox makes Beetle's spine turn to powder because he knows what's coming. You could just mark it as spam, right? That's what I do. Oh no, I didn't get any of your emails. However, like most other beards on campus, she thinks that Beetle is her friend. One day, Beetle and I were at Sally's beauty supply getting some hair color for me. Beetle loves to work on hair as a hobby. If teaching ever becomes too much, he could very easily get his license to work at a salon. I mean, that's just a whole different type of gossip, isn't it? I picked the color I wanted and we were headed to checkout when Beetle felt a hand on his back. He said he thought it was me at first, but then he saw me on the other side of him. He jumped and turned around, and it was Math Beard. We'd run into her in the wild. Hi, Beetle, she smiled. I turned to look and saw her with her hand on my husband. I saw the cringe visible on his face, so I pulled him towards me and put my arm around him so she couldn't touch him. Hi, Math Beard, Beetle said through a forced smile. Daughter, come over here, she called across the store to her college-age daughter, who also looked embarrassed as hell. Good, this interaction is mutually awkward for everyone. Let's just all agree it never happened. Yeah, Mom, the daughter asked. This is Beetle and Mandy, they're my friends from work. We all teach at Standard High together, Math Beard said, touching Beetle's arm again. I exchanged a look with Beetle. Friends? That does drive me nuts too. If you really don't like these persons, just tell them to their face, you know? Something irks me about the sentence, they think that they're his friend. Like, yeah, you're letting them think that. It's time to burn the bridge. It's fine. Nice to meet you, the daughter said. She seemed so normal and rightfully embarrassed by her beardy mother. How was this her daughter? I will never know. Adoption. Likewise, we have to be going. Wee One is waiting for us, I said.
Wee One is their daughter. She attends Standard High,
Mathbeard explained to her daughter. Yeah, okay, bye, I said, turning to pay. I know Beetle will stand there and keep talking because he's just too damn nice. I have no issue being short with someone to get us out of a situation that we don't want to be in. You could be short enough that this situation will never occur again. It's time to lay down the law.
I am the law!
When we got back to the car, Beetle shuddered. Ugh, she touched me. I made a face of disgust. I know. Ugh. And she thinks we're friends. Okay, but I don't know. What has Mathbeard done aside from care for the children too much? Not know where the line is, you know? Maybe she needs some correction, but she doesn't seem to warrant this type of disgust. And I know some people will say, hey, Red, you're going to bat for the neckbeard way too often. And it's like, ugh, they're still human beings, bro. There's a kernel of redemption in there if you were goodly enough to water it. I don't know, maybe it just wasn't explained well enough, but this catty treatment of Mathbeard, for seemingly no reason, I just can't abide. I'm sorry she sent you emails, okay? Maybe you need to have a frank conversation with her. I just don't like this look. It's a bad look, all right? So Beetle says, thanks for getting us out of there. OP says, I don't like seeing coworkers out in the wild, and of all of the coworkers, it had to be her. Dude, what is so bad about her? Does she smell? It was never described at all. Anyway, more recently I had another situation where my path crossed with Mathbeard. This was shortly before Miss Dean banned me from having anything to do with ESL, and I was still helping out. Mathbeard sent out an email about an ESL student that she and Beetle both had in class, and copied me on it. Honestly, you just have to read it for yourself. Only the names have been changed, grammar and spelling was left intact. I don't think I'm gonna do the voice through this whole thing. I tried it was a disaster. You could check out me trying it live on Twitch. Hey, have you checked me out on Twitch quite yet? You should, maybe. All right. So, good morning. I have Laura in my geometry resource class. She does not speak much English at all. What this was looking like in my class is she tried to come up to me and point to the restroom pass. I told her, you will need to ask in words, and I modeled the phrase, may I go to the restroom, please? Yeah, that's what I do with my 4-year-old. Sounds good so far. My concern at present is that she will not progress with solving if we're not doing whole class solving, or I am not directly teaching. Dude, what? It's like sort of a non sequitur in the middle of the email. Huh? She waits for me to get the free time to approach her in order to be sure that she understands the assignment and the directions. So I've begun to tell her, when you get stuck, you need to raise your hand. Or you can come over to me where I'm sitting and I will help you. She's capable of this, and that's what we've worked on this week. I believe if we all require things bit by bit, her English communication will improve. Yeah, get them kids out of their comfort zone. It's time to learn and grow, learn and grow. When Laura came to the school dance, she was unable to state her 6-digit ID number. So I told her that I have a goal for her to learn to say each number from 1 to 10 in English. Thank you, Mathbeard. So far, nothing very untoward in this email, at least as far as I could tell. So here is Beetle's response. Good morning. I also have Laura in Resource English. She asks me in English to use the restroom. She's learning more and converses with her classmates as much as possible. The thing about language is it's not going to happen overnight. And if someone feels forced to use a language that they aren't quite comfortable with, their affective filter will go back up and they'll just stop engaging at all. Modeling is fine, but requiring her to use English only, that's not the best practice. I've suggested to her tracking teacher that she be moved from Resource English to ESOL 1. I think that this will help with her linguistic progress. Signed, Beetle. Okay, now that you explained it a little bit, yeah, that's making sense. See, there's a lot of subtext that I feel I miss in these stories. Mathbeard writes back, "Hey Beetle, I would not say that I require her to use English only, but I do ask her to use words, not just pointing. I think a kid at high school needs to know their 6-digit ID, so I always get my students who don't know it to practice it. Mathbeard." Yeah, that's the best way to make high school feel even more like a prison, right? Give me your 6-digit ID number, recruit. I do get Mathbeard on this though. Like, if you ask me for something without a please or just point at something expecting me to know what you want, the answer is always going to be no, or I'll just ignore you completely. Next reply comes from OP, and she says, "I do think having her in ESOL will help with her linguistics, and it's certainly important that she knows her ID in English, but are you certain she understands what an ID number is? I would also argue that learning it in her native language and memorizing it that way may help her to remember it better in English, ultimately. Patience is certainly needed for our ESLs as they struggle to learn English and overcome the inherent insecurities that come along with that. Hopefully being an ESOL will help her to learn more of these tools. Just my thoughts, OP." Mathbeard didn't reply after that. It does seem like relatively helpful advice. How did all this devolve into such cattiness? For those that don't know, forcing any student to speak a language they're unfamiliar with is not useful in the least. It's going to make them shut down. And there was a decent chance that Laura really had no idea what the ID number even was. We had no way to be sure that they even used those in her home country. Beetle and I were fuming that she was doing this to Laura. Way to set this kid up for failure, Mathbeard. Gosh, context really just brings everything into focus. Hindsight is 20/20, as they say. Now I'm coming around the bend and I'm like, yeah, why did you do that, Mathbeard? But still, I do get it. Ask me with your words. This is not an ESL thing, it's a respect thing. May I use the restroom, please? And this really isn't even the worst thing that Mathbeard has done, however. This past grading cycle, it was the day before Christmas break, aka the last day of the grading cycle, and Mathbeard emailed Beetle about one of his students that hadn't been working in her class, and how she was gonna try and catch him up that day. Beetle was upset. This was information he needed before the last day of the cycle, which was only a half day at that. Ultimately, Beetle just told her that he would continue to work with said student after the break. Big smiles all around. Well, then I guess I can see how that's upsetting, because he's got to go off schedule and whatnot. That's just like Beetle picking his own destiny, though. I can't be that mad. You didn't want to have the confrontation, you gave up some of your free time. You could tell her to go screw. That student's coming to my class today. Period. This would, of course, force Mathbeard into giving up some of her free time, and then we'd see where the loyalties truly lie, right? I don't know. She's definitely a terrible teacher. I don't necessarily think that makes her a terrible person. Anyways, that brings us to today. In the staff meeting this morning, I noticed Manny Beard sit down next to Mathbeard. They seem to be friends now. I don't even want to think of the horrors this will befall us all. Take heart, OP. Beards never remain friends for long. They all try to out-alpha and backstab each other. This story is called A Question of Ethics. This story took place this morning, on the day that I'm writing this, so it's a fresh one. Actually, as I'm starting the beginning of this, Beetle is currently sitting in Mr. Principal's office, so I don't even have the ending as I'm starting it. Red, this story proves you're right, unfortunately. Beard School, top to bottom. Look, I've been in this business long enough, alright? I know a beard when I see a beard. You might have some respect for the admins because they hold a position above you, but I'm in a position where I can look at them and say, beard. Your beard, your beard. Everybody gets a beard. So this morning, a student that we will call Joe was talking to Beetle. Joe is in his first period class. Mr. Beetle, my house smelled like a skunk this morning. Does my bag smell like a skunk too? Joe asked. Beetle smelt Joe's bag.
Phrasing.
Beetle said, "No, but it does smell like the devil's lettuce." Joe laughed. "Oh, that's thanks to my parents. Joe, you little snitch. You're gonna end up in CPS and you're gonna deserve it." Beetle then blinked. "What?" "Yeah, my parents do that. They let me do it too. It's no big deal," Joe said. "Oh, good." Beetle quickly changed the subject to the assignment. Make sure you have your debate ready next class." Dude, this is gonna end like real tragically, isn't it? That kid's gonna get taken away. You out here just telling stories? They didn't offer you nothing? No cigarette? No candy bar? You just snitching for fun right now, Joe? God damn it. And yeah, I'm glad Beetle kind of took a turn, but I don't know where this story's gonna end up. Jesus. So Beetle promptly texts OP and says, "What would you do if a student told you that they partake in herbal remedies? And not only that, but they partake in herbal remedies with their parents. Is that like a CPS report? Because it feels like a CPS report." Oh, God, I didn't want it to turn this way. He's gonna get taken away for smoking bowls with mom and dad. We like to maintain this mythology about childhood, but in 9th grade, I was blazing bowls too, bro. Mom and dad just didn't know, so I don't know, man. It really rips me up to have it go to CPS. OP says, yeah, CPS and tell the counselor. Beetle says, "Oh, okay, I'll do it." So Beetle emailed the counselor and the AP over Joe. They agreed to meet with him during the next period, which suited Beetle because he wanted to handle the situation, but it also got him out of Manny Beard's class for a bit. I'm sure it was an absolute wreck while Beetle wasn't there. When Miss AP Beard and Miss Counselor got to Beetle's room, he explained everything that had happened. He told them that he felt like he needed to file a CPS report. "We're not going that route," Miss AP Beard said. "What? Why? The substance is illegal in this state, and Joe said it was being provided by his parents. I smelled it on Joe's bag," Beetle explained. It's not often that I oppose OP as much as I have in this episode. I guess legally you are doing the right thing, but morally it's like, have a kid taken away from their parents because they smoke a little bit of ganj together, like, I don't know, man. I don't like that at all. But Miss AP Beard comes in clutch. She says, "This sounds like a social skills issue. I'm going to talk to Joe's tracking teacher. Joe needs to know that we don't talk about things like that in school." It could get the parents arrested. School's not the place to discuss illegal activity. Bro, Miss AP Beard blazes too. Beetle says, no, the social skills aren't the issue here. The illegal activity is. And as a mandated reporter, I have an obligation to report it, Beetle said. We will talk to the student, Miss AP Beard said as she turned and left. And that was that. Honestly, thank God that was that. I don't want this to go to child services, man. If he's like 13, yeah, it's extreme, you know? But what if he was gonna do it anyways? If he's 16, I mean, I expect most people have, at least in the region of the world that I was born at. Beetle was quite upset. He felt like what should have been a black and white issue had turned into some ethical dilemma. I mean, it is, dude. And I admit that legally Beetle 100% in the right, but morally, that kid's probably gonna end up in a foster home because of this? Come on. Let stuff slide. You choose what to report. It's fine. He told me what happened, and I advised him to go see Mr. Principal. I was afraid you were going to say that, he said, but he did schedule a meeting to see Mr. Principal, which is where he was when I started writing this whole thing out. As I was writing, Beetle messaged me and told me what happened. He said it went well, but I think that's a matter of perspective. He explained the situation to Mr. Principal and how he didn't appreciate being brushed off and put in this position.
I understand. We just need to do our own investigation. I will get with Miss A.P. Beard, and we will figure out what's going on and see what steps we need to take,
Mr. Principal said. I just feel like it was brushed off as a social issue, and that's far from the biggest problem here, Beetle explained.
I can't tell you not to file a CPS report. You did smell it in the student's bag, but as far as admin, we need to do an investigation and see what's going on before we jump to filing a CPS report,
Mr. Principal said. I don't know if it's the situation or what, but all of a sudden I feel like Mr. Principal's being like super pragmatic. You know, I'm like, that's a good idea. You don't need to hassle these innocent parents with what are essentially schoolyard rumors. But I know deep down in my heart, the principal should be following the letter of the law. I just don't necessarily agree with the letter of the law in this situation. Beetle says, look, I get that. I just don't like how this was handled by Miss A.P. Beard. Mr. Principal nodded.
I completely understand that, and I will talk to her.
And that satisfied Beetle. I was considerably less satisfied with that answer, but honestly, it wasn't my student. All I am in this situation is a sounding board for Beetle. So, what are you gonna do, love? I asked.
Mr. Principal said he'd get back with me once he talked to Miss A.P. Beard. I'm gonna sit on this until tomorrow, and if I don't hear back, I'm filing the report, Beetle replied.
And that concludes another cringy chapter of Beard School. It was cringy for some stranger reasons than I might have thought initially. Bro, you'd really do that? You'd really upset a child's whole life? I understand the parents shouldn't be providing that, but obviously he's got a decent relationship with his parents. Is he really going to be that much better off in a foster home? If they keep this up, Child Protective Services is going to be like,
open the door.
I will admit that the last story unsettled me a great deal. I'm still processing how I feel about the ethical issues that arose from it. I'm sure there will be many more updates to come. Maybe I should just post a day of text between Beetle and I. Poor bloke witnesses so much beardery in a single day. I sit back and pity him from the safety of the she-cave, my sanctuary. Much like the head office of ReddX Industries is. But the truth is, you can never escape the beardery. There's even a little beardery within ourselves. Thanks to ReddX for reading this and allowing my tales to be heard by the masses. I have 2 other sagas I'm working on at the moment, so hopefully Red will bring those to you as well, along with more Squirrel Beard, which I really did finish totally for real this time. For reals. I'm sure you did. No, I will get to that eventually. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe. Do all the things to support our boy Red. We love him. Until next time. Maybe the true friends are the beards we made along the way. I don't know, man. I understand this ethical dilemma can be seen from a lot of different directions. It mostly depends on like culture, upbringing, stuff like that. Upholding state laws, well, that's all well and good, but I don't feel like Joe is being maltreated at home in any way. Okay, I mean, one potentially significant way. Again, the parents really shouldn't be doing that, but it sort of proves that they have a relationship together, at least. I don't know. I'm pretty conflicted about it too, but all in all, I believe that drug crimes are massively overrated, overinflated. Especially for something as simple as what was grown in God's green earth. You know what I'm saying? Some stuff, sure, regulated, but that, I don't know, man. Kick back, smoke a spliff. But obviously, you know, I'm fairly biased. I admitted to that within the story. Regardless, I hope you enjoyed it, friends. I hope you like, comment, subscribe. Do all them things. Let me know what you thought. Share the video around, etc., etc., etc. We got many links in the description. All my social medias. My goodness. Follow me on TikTok. Hey, I'm going to post a new one tonight. Promise. Swearsies. It's just a fact and it's totally science. Go ahead and look it up. Thank you also to my Patreon patrons, my YouTube channel members, wonderful people that they are, helping to float me through these hard months. Keep yourself safe out there. Join us again tomorrow. Wash your hands, etc., etc. And of course, always remember, friends, that you are loved, you are worthy. You definitely, definitely deserve it. And I shall see you in the next one. So until then, friends, bye-bye.